Do you know what's common between the Audi A6, Volvo S90, Jaguar XF and the BMW 5 Series? All of them once had a diesel engine and now none of them have a diesel engine. In fact, the Jaguar XF is dead and so is the Volvo S90. And do you know which is the top selling car in the segment? It's this, the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. And it still has a diesel engine. It has always had it since the time it was first launched in India in 1995 as the W124. That's 30 years of the E220d. No wonder Mercedes tops the luxury car sales chart. They know that a diesel is a freaking diesel. And this car goes 1000 kilometers on a full tank of fuel, and the fuel doesn't have any ethanol bullshit either. Ain't that an insane tank range? But before getting into the driving experience, let's quickly recap what the 6th generation of the E-Class, the V214, is all about. Firstly, being the long wheelbase version E-Class, it's massive in size with a length of almost 5.1 meters and a wheelbase of almost 3.1 meters. Offered in avant-garde trim, there's plenty of chrome all around. The grille is big with small Mercedes logos stuck on them. The 18-inch alloys actually look good when compared to the 5 Series, but there's a polarizing design element, and that happens to be on the tail lights, which have the Mercedes logo in them. Some like it, some don't. It has surely grown on me, but what hasn't grown on me are these fake exhaust tips. Why Mercedes? Why? Step inside and you realize that the E-Class has become too techy with a high-resolution super screen that consists of a 12.3-inch instrument cluster with multiple views, 14.4-inch infotainment screen and a 12.3-inch passenger screen. The dashboard looks good, quality is amazing with the door pockets beautifully lined, and the two touchscreens work flawlessly well too. This car is quite thoughtful and it comes with a lady to remind you to take your phone.
Excuse me, please don't forget your phone.
And a message to not leave animals in the car every time you exit. Take that one, Tara! Standard equipment includes a 4-zone climate control air conditioning system, 360-degree parking camera with the rear camera hidden until in use, automatic headlights, illuminated flush door handles which reveal themselves on swiping, 64-color ambient lighting, automatic wipers, inbuilt navigation, app library, sunroof at the front and a moonroof at the rear, electric rear window blinds and rear windscreen blind including for the quarter glass, but those are actually manual, logo projection from the outside rear view mirrors, 8 airbags including knee airbags and a center airbag, memory driver seat, self park which is actually quite crucial for something as big as this, electric parking brake, automatic driver seat adjustment basis height, in-car web browser, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, soft closed doors, illuminated scuff plates, wireless phone charger, digital AC vents which is taking technology a touch too far, PM 2.5 air filter, in-car camera for selfies and video calls, level 2 ADAS and a 17-speaker 730-watt Burmester 4D sound system, but the exciters are placed only in the front seats and not in the rear ones. Wait, isn't this a chauffeur-driven car? Yes, it is, and that's why the rear seat experience is easily the benchmark in the segment, with the recline angle extending from 26 to 36 degrees. There's plenty of knee room, leg room and foot room. Headroom is good too, and so is the under-thigh support, as it's extendable. You get these soft pillows on the headrest, a rear center armrest with cup holders and a wireless phone charger, and the chauffeur package brings in the boss mode. Yes, all seats are electrically adjustable, but not the middle one, because this car is more of a four-seater because of this transmission tunnel, because this car is rear-wheel drive. There are plenty of storage spaces, but it's the 540-litre boot that stands out because firstly, it's powered, and secondly, it's big, and the spare wheel is placed right below. It's 145/80/90 sized with a steel rim, but gets the job done. But not all is amazing, because for the price, the E-Class misses out on a ton of things, like there is no seat ventilation, no rear seat entertainment or rear media controls for a chauffeur-driven car, no seat massage either. The footwell is cramped for people with big feet, digital lights are only offered in the E450, physical buttons are limited, and there's an over-reliance on the touchscreen, and I do not like this touch control for the sunroof either. It doesn't always work. In fact, the touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel are quite fiddly to use. I don't like them. But what I do like is the diesel engine in this car. So let's give it the beans. Alright, let's turn on the car. You don't hear a thing. That's how silent and refined this car is. Straight away, I come into sport mode. I press this car button here because I'm going to come into ESP off, and I'm going to turn off the air conditioning here. Too much reliance on the touchscreen, which is kind of crazy. We come into info mode here. I come into drive, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, revs to around 2200 RPM. Listen to this, okay? Listen to this. That's a lot of wheel spin, yeah, for something whose stability system is not completely off, because traction control is off. I think ESP is still on. 0 to 100 km per hour in 8.39 seconds. That's not very fast. But as soon as I let go of the throttle, the car still continued to surge ahead, because this car obviously has the 48-volt mild hybrid system with a 20 horsepower and 200 Newton meter boost, and it has an integrated starter generator as well. And obviously all the cars in the E-Class, or rather all the variants in the E-Class range, are hybrids. So this is obviously a mild hybrid. This is a 2-liter 4-cylinder diesel engine, which is quite refined by diesel standards, but when you compare to the E200 petrol, it's not the most refined as such, because you can feel slight vibrations on the steering wheel, on the pedals, and obviously some gruffiness of the diesel motor as well, especially in the mid-range, because once you push it hard, okay, listen to this, okay? It's actually more pronounced past 3000 RPM, upshifts at around 4000 RPM, but then it's not that loud, and I like the feel, I like the vibrations, I like the sound of a diesel engine. It's just music to my ears. The brake pedal feel is not the best though, and that's something doesn't impress me. Braking performance is fine, but the pedal feel is not the best, and because it's so long, you have to really snake around speed breakers. Honestly, the ground clearance is good enough, so you will never worry about the ground clearance in this car. However, you have to be a bit careful. There's no nose lift function here. Now, this car is powered by a diesel engine, like I was already telling you. Why am I getting so confused? There's a petrol, obviously the E200, which is like the entry level. Both the engines are very similar in terms of performance as well as timing, in-gear timing, acceleration timing, and all those things. It's very, very, very similar. Not much to differentiate here as such. However, the diesel obviously has more torque, so this is making 197 horsepower. Meanwhile, the petrol is making around 204 horsepower. In terms of torque, the petrol makes 320 Newton meters. This one makes 440 Newton meters. So 120 Newton meters more torque. Where can you feel it? Out on the highway, because all that torque comes lower down the rev range and makes it effortless to overtake slow moving cars like this. Just get on the throttle and you immediately get past them effortlessly. So that is where the magic talk comes into the picture. Effortlessness is what the 220D offers, something the E200 doesn't offer, because in the E200 you have to really ring the throttle to make quick overtakes. Here it's so damn freaking effortless. Just get on the throttle and bang, it's done. Performance is obviously very linear, so there's no kick in the pants feel which we used to get in earlier diesel engines, because after this whole BS6 nonsense has happened now, it's dulled the mid-range of cars. So now it's one big linear pull instead of a shove. No, that shove doesn't happen, unfortunately. But then let's be honest, most people who are buying this car are going to be chauffeur driven, and they don't want their driver to have so much fun either. So performance is actually very, very, very impressive. It has a 9-speed torque converter automatic gearbox, which is actually very quick with shifts by torque converter standards. But again, it's not very urgent as such. Am I contradicting myself? Sort of. But yeah, it's a decent gearbox which is obviously focused more on smoothness and comfort, and obviously it really excels on that front. A 66-liter fuel tank in this car, which means a range of almost 1000 kilometers on a full tank, because it returns around 10 to 11 kilometers per liter in the city. Out on the highway, that actually stretches to almost 15 to 16 kilometers per liter. That is really very impressive fuel economy for something which weighs 1900 freaking kgs. Yeah, this is a heavy car. It doesn't feel heavy to drive because the steering is actually quite light, but it weighs up beautifully at higher speeds. It's actually responsive, and Mercedes does some fantastic steerings, because in terms of lightness it's great in the city, and as soon as you speed up it weighs up beautifully well. So you get the best of both worlds. Fantastic. And the car obviously stays glued to the road. It's having steel coil springs, so it's a steel suspension. There is no air suspension in this car. There are no adaptive dampers either, which is okay, because that would obviously push the cost up. But with steel springs, the ride is still quite impressive. With air suspension, obviously the suppleness is there, which is missing in steel springs. That said, globally they offer air suspension as a package known as the refinement package, and that refinement package is having air suspension along with rear wheel steering, and the rear wheel steering turns by up to 4.5 degrees in the opposite direction under 60 kilometers per hour to virtually reduce the wheelbase, to improve the agility of the car, and it turns in the same direction as the front wheels by up to 2.5 degrees past 60 kilometers per hour to virtually elongate the wheelbase, thereby ensuring there is better high-speed stability. And in terms of stability and all, it's actually good. The ride is very impressive. It's so comfortable, it's so refined, it's so smooth, just wafting along, and that's the beauty of an E-Class, and that's one of the major reasons why people actually go ahead and buy an E-Class, because it's just such a freaking damn smooth car. Very nice to drive, and the interior here is sort of black, but you have multiple color options. There's a tan, there's a cream, and there's a black, of course, so you can choose from 3 of the color options. And now finally, in Mercedes cars, you can actually go ahead and turn off ADAS. So they're telling me the ADAS warning. If I turn it off, and when I turn off the car, it will not turn back on unless and until I decide to do so. Earlier that was not the case, and I think side impact testing is happening of some car. Okay, it's a Bolero, I think it's overloaded or something of that sort. Yeah, you've got paddle shifters, but does it hold on to a gear? No, it does not hold on to a gear. It shifts around 4,500 RPM. That's kind of premature. There, it's telling me the blind spot monitor. Yeah, ADAS works fantastically well. Mercedes has really fine-tuned the system over the years. Earlier, we used to complain, yeah, the system is too intrusive. Now, it's not as intrusive. So, great job there by Mercedes-Benz. The direct rival of this car is obviously the BMW 5 Series, which no longer has a diesel engine, which is very unfortunate, because now Mercedes is like, we are monopoly. And this car is obviously more expensive than the 5 Series, but the 5 Series is attractively priced that it costs the same. The 530i M Sport costs exactly the same as what, you know it, the BMW M340i, the car to buy under a crore if you are a driving enthusiast. And now let's quickly do the brake test. Hazard lights on. Yeah, brake pedal feel could be better. Okay, let's quickly change this. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, hazard lights off. Listen to this, okay? You know, it's rear wheel drive, and that is the reason why it spins its rear wheels, and that is actually quite fun. 0 to 100 km per hour in 7.36 seconds, which is not accurate because we are going down a slope. However, Mercedes claims that this car goes from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 7.6 seconds with a top speed of 238 km per hour, which is quite unbelievable. A small 2.2-liter 4-cylinder engine going to those kind of speeds, very, very, very impressive. CD value is 0.23 because this is obviously inspired from the EQ E sedan. All the learnings of EQ has come combustion engine cars as well from Mercedes-Benz, and that's the reason CD value is actually also very, very, very impressive, and that's one of the major reasons why the fuel efficiency of this car is absolutely mind-blowing. The flagship car, or rather the flagship E-Class, is now the E53 with 600 horsepower, but unfortunately there is no 8-cylinder, there is no 4-litre bi-turbo V8 E63 this time around. Hopefully it comes, but I don't think it's coming, even though BMW has given us the M5 with the full fat 4.4-litre V8 engine. That's the reason we love you, BMW. Now Mercedes is like, we can give you 600 horsepower with the E53, why do you need an E63? Because that E53 actually is a plug-in hybrid and the battery definitely weighs it down. And now we have the E450 in India, which actually is quite powerful, very fast as well. There the ADAS warning is immediately coming. So yeah, the E450 petrol costs 10 lakhs more than this, 10.5 lakhs more than this. So that is priced at rupees 1.08 crores on road Mumbai. Amazing car, but we need the E350d because historically the E350d has always been there. Probably Mercedes will get it back with the facelift, but the E350d is not the best one now for diesel power, diesel lovers like me, because globally they have a E450d as well, which makes 385 horsepower and a colossal 750 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 5 seconds there, which is not as fast as the 3.8 seconds which the E53 takes, but then that's a diesel. I don't have to keep visiting the fuel station day in and day out, so that's obviously something I look forward to. But again, E450d not coming to India. Instead, we've got the G450d, which obviously costs a lot more money as well. So that's how the whole thing is working now. I'm just put this ADAS menu and it's showing me that the truck is actually a car. It's not a car, it's a truck. Whatever, you get the drift. A lot of confusion happening here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to straight away turn on the ESP system, and the reason is that I want to do a proper launch. We come into manual shifting, which means that I have to change the cluster mode to this one, and let's see, in manual shifting, does it hold on to a gear? No, it does not. Then why do you give me an option of manual shifting? It makes no sense at all here. Manual shifting means manual shifting. It means no sort of intrusion in the shifts, letting me shift the way I want. Let me shift the way I move. Yeah, sorry Nissan. Anyways, let me come to the info screen. The screens are so freaking damn awesome and cool, but obviously they are a fingerprint magnet as well. And the diesel surge is just mind-blowing. It pulls so nicely, cleanly and relentlessly. You get on the throttle, there's no hesitation, it just pulls, and that is the whole game of having that diesel torque. Mind-blowing. It's just so fantastic driving a diesel. The only thing I miss is the kick in the pants feel, which diesel engines used to have earlier, but now everything is getting so freaking blunted here. It's kind of unfortunate. The handling is actually quite nice for something this heavy. Obviously there is body roll, considerable amount of body roll. You come around the corner, you roll, and you roll quite a bit as such, but then that's kind of expected because of the size, the weight and the soft suspension of this car. But it steers very smoothly, and obviously it is able to absorb the worst of bumps. So yes, the ride is fantastic, but still I have to slow down over such roads. No problem as such. Yeah, that is so damn cool about how good Mercedes has actually managed to program the suspension of this car. Adaptive dampers, missed here, but never mind. Now let's make a quick U-turn. This car is actually available in 3 variants, the E200, the E220d and the E450 as well. And it's been 1 year of the Mercedes E-Class in India, the 6th generation one, the V214. That's the reason Mercedes is celebrating with this new color, which they like to call as the Verde Silver. But I have some really bad news for you, because this is the last generation of internal combustion engine E-Class, because the next generation is going to be electric only, which means that this generation is going to last a lot more or longer. And there's obviously going to be multiple facelifts as well, because the EQE is not going to have a successor. The successor is going to be the E-Class powered by EQ technology. And on that disappointment, it's time to sum up this video real quick. Well, the E-Class is very impressive. You don't get too many features, but you get a huge car with an excellent rear seat. Yes, my best offer for this deal is 90 crores. What? No, I actually don't know how many zeros are there in 90 crores. No wonder the E-Class is the top selling Mercedes car of all time. In fact, the E-Class costs rupees 7.27 lakhs more than the 5 Series. I'm talking about petrol to petrol comparison here in terms of pricing. Yet the E-Class outsells the 5 Series comfortably. You know why? Simply because this is just a better car. At rupees 97.56 lakhs for this car, you pay rupees 4.26 lakhs more for the E220d over the E200, but that is money well spent for the higher torque, better mileage and the increased range on a full tank of fuel. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below if you had a budget of rupees 1 crore, which is the car you would choose. Bye bye.